Hi everybody, today I'm going to show you probably the most basic ring I could think about. It's not this ring, and it's kind of like this ring, but it doesn't include a gemstone. So I'm going to take some 14 gauge wire, we're going to cut it to length. This is about 1.5 millimeters thick. We're just going to solder it together, and we're going to see how long that takes us. 14 gauge wire is relatively cheap. I buy it from Rio Grande. This is fine silver. I like the fine silver because it doesn't have any copper in it, so it oxidizes waste. Well, it doesn't oxidize, but it tarnishes really slowly. I'm going to take my mandrel. I have a mandrel with markings on it. I'm going to go for about a 5 to start, and then the resulting ring will be around a 6 after I work harden it. So because this wire is dead soft, I can just bend it with my hand here. And we're going to go about a 5. I'm going to cut where they overlap, and then I'll deal with it. Oops. There's the simple loop. I'm going to use my jeweler's saw because it's the right thing to do, not because it's my favorite thing to do. You'll notice my block has this little cutout here. That kind of helps. Really, I should be applying some lubrication, but I'm not. Perfect. I got a good cut on this side. I'm going to cut off the end just to give me a nice surface here. To lubricate it, I guess I'll just blah, blah, blah. Perfect. That's exactly. Is this going to work better? Much better. Now you see I have perfectly mated ends, and I'm going to go ahead and solder this right up. You can see it's about a 5.5 when there's a little gap, so that's probably fine. I'm going to squeeze these two together so they kiss. Oh, that's terrible. You can kind of see they have a little rough edges, so I'm going to go at it with a file for just a second. I'm going to take this file and I'm just going to squeeze it in between them. Now I'm going to slip them past each other, and then when they come back together, they'll be compressed. So that's pretty much physically touching. Next, we're going to take some chemicals known in the state of California to give you cancer, and we're going to use that to bring together this ring. This material, which is mostly silver, 75% silver, will melt at a slightly lower temperature, and magic happens. It's pretty brilliant. Here we have a contraption called a third hand, holding the ring, and the top of the ring is compressed together and the joint is going to be up there. So we're going to take some very basic chemicals here. Oh, eye protection. I haven't been wearing my eye protection. I just can't believe it. A bad influence for the children. I'm going to take a chemical called flux. I'm going to put some on my paintbrush, and I'm going to dab the flux. A butane lighter. Bubble the flux. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to take some chemicals known in the state of California to give you cancer, and we're just going to touch it to the top, and that's going to melt. Oops. Boy, that looks dumb. I put on way too much, so that's perfect. And you'll notice there's a big gloopy at the top. It's okay, because I'll just file it down. Now I'm going to pickle this in an acid. You can use vinegar. I use a jewelry-specific acid. It just goes in there. We use some brass to bring it out, because the brass is not going to get hurt by the acid. And then we're going to wash it off in some water. Well, it's definitely together. There's this like stupid little blah blah. You don't want that. I'm just going to take a file and I'm going to file it down. We took down the joint a little bit, and that's looks fine. But I really don't care about cleaning it up all the way because there's more steps. Next, we're going to slip it on the mandrel and see what size it actually is. It's about a 5. Wow, great. Next, we're going to take our Amazon special rubber mallet, and I'm just going to boop, 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 boop. And what that's going to do is going to make it bigger, but it's not going to impart any texturing because it's just rubber. If I were to be doing this with a metal mallet, it would look like a hammered texture. We're just going to do it with the rubber. And you can see it's already pretty close to a 6. Alright, perfect. So next what we're going to do is I'm going to flatten it on the anvil. Great. Now you're saying to yourself, boy, that's pretty ugly. And you're right. Next stop. Oh, here we go. Crush test. Ready? Can't crush it. So that's good. You get a lot of strength when you work hard in something. Just with my fingers here. This is a pretty thin band. This is 1.5 millimeters thick. Can't crush that with a normal amount of strength applied by finger pinchers. So next I'm going to take some whirly-doos and I'm going to clean it up. The whirly-doos are going to make it look shiny. magic. And we'll eventually move up to a finer and finer grit, and then it's going to look nice, and then I'm going to hit it with a polisher. If you were going for brush texture, that's where you stop. I'm not going for brush texture, I'm going for shiny. The next thing I'm going to do is polish it, the big wheel. Alright, that is way shinier than before, you just gotta believe me. Silver takes a nice shine, it's highly reflective, and this is now covered in polish, so when I go wash it off in the sink, it's gonna even look better. Here, I'll bring you to the sink. Here we go. Old toothbrush. First things first, you get that all slathered up. We do this. And that's going to take the polish off. Now do a quick rinse. Wow. And that's all there is to it. That's the simplest ring I can think of. This is 1.18 grams. And if you didn't spend so much time polishing, you could get it down a lot quicker. See, the ring I showed you at the beginning has a hammered texture on it. This one's a pretty smooth band.